Are you one of the thousands of people who watch Age of Empires 2 pros on Twitch and you're wondering how to get your game to look like theirs? Well, you've come to the right place, because I'm not only going to show you how to install mods, but also which 5 essential ones you need to take your game from this to this. Let's get into it. Luckily, AoE has made it super easy to install mods for your game, to the point where I'd rather call it activate instead of install, because all you need to do is head into your main menu and hit the options wheel on the top right and click mods. In here you have 3 sections. The first one shows your mods and is probably empty if you've never touched this before, and the second one is where the game has made your life super easy, because this is where you can search and download mods. Once installed, they land directly in your installed mods section. Before you see any changes in-game though, you will have to restart the game. The last section is not really relevant unless you're creating your own mods, and given you're here, I'm just going to assume you're not. Before we get into the list, make sure you stick around until the end of the video, by the way, because the priority order of those mods does matter. With that said, let's dive into the first one. And this first one is probably the mother of all mods, so much even that the game itself offers you an option to use it. It is the grid mod. This will add grid lines to your screen, which makes building placement, quick walling, general walling and so forth a lot easier, especially on hilly maps. When you install this mod, make sure though you head into the options, interface menu and untick in-game grid. Otherwise you'll get an overlay of the two and it's not great. I overall find the mod grid to be way better than the in-game grid, so that's why I choose the mod and not the in-game options. Now, even in the mod section, you'll find that there are a few different grid mods to choose from. I use the Zetnus improved grid mod no snow version. As you can see in the name, this mod does offer one more thing, which is to remove snow. Now, like for all graphics mods, you always have to strike the balance of great looking graphics and functionality. So if you'd prefer to keep your snow, that's no problem. Luckily, there is a Zetnus improved grid mod that keeps your snow. So I find snow quite annoying, which is why I get rid of it. It confuses my little brain to see green on the minimap and then white snow on the grid. So that's why I remove it, but it's entirely up to you. Before we move on to the next mod, to get this ring around buildings that shoot projectiles, just like town centers or castles or towers, that is actually not a mod either, but a setting. So head into the options menu, hit game, and switch building and aura range indicator to always show. You have the option to give it player colors, but personally I like to leave it gray or black or whatever you want to call it, to not add too many strong lines to the ground. And this takes us to mod number 2 already, which is smaller trees. Now, back in the day when I used to play Age of Empires 2 purely casually with my friends, I often would make it my mission to hide my final villager behind some tree lines, so it would take them a few extra minutes to finish me. Well, the small trees mods makes overlooking units and missing gaps in your wall or whatever next to trees a thing of the past. The one that I usually pick here is the HK selected small trees with grid shadow mod, because this adds a drop shadow around them, which makes it easier to tell if a specific tile is blocked by a tree or not. This is especially important for desert maps like African Clearing, for example, where you have a load of gaps between trees. Just like for the grid mod, there is an inbuilt small tree option that you need to disable in the menu. And on to mod number 3, which is the bold fish border mod. And this is the last one that adds something to your grid, and it's called the 72359 HK bold fish border mod. Again, it's a nice little add-on to spot fish easier in the water, and you'll immediately know where to best build your dock, and you won't overlook those precious fish resources. And next up is mod group number 4, which is no tree stumps. Now, we get on to mods that remove things rather than add anything, so there are certain elements in the game that are useless, such as tree stumps that don't really provide any wood. And again, it's totally up to you whether you want to keep these small little details in the game, or whether you want to remove them for added functionality. The mod itself is called the Guaymallen no tree stumps. Nailed it. Another mod that really helps with this problem is from the same modder, and it's called the Guaymallen, not a problem, useless plants remover. So go ahead and install those too. And here we are already, mod number 5 that I recommend you install, and this is the last one and a great way to improve your gameplay, and it's called the HK Better Resource Panel TheViper version. As you have maybe seen from my other videos, resource management and idle economy are probably the 2 biggest offenders as to why average players such as myself lose games, and this mod helps you with both. It makes the resource panel a bit larger, so more prevalent in your eyesight, and it adds a nice fat red warning graphic if you have idle villagers. and that is something you always want to avoid, and so this mod helps with both of these problems. And that's it already. You can do a lot of cool stuff with mods in Age of Empires 2, maybe not to the level of GTA 5, but still there's a lot of useful stuff out there. I hope this video really helps people at the beginner and intermediate stage to get going with climbing the ladder and improving your elo. If you found this video helpful, smash all these positive buttons that are down there, and this way I'll know to do more of it. See ya!